Well, we're all just looking for good people that are doing good business. We've got an expert here, third generation, everybody, and they do things right. They take care of their customers. Stay tuned for more. We're going to talk about. Here we go. Welcome back, everybody. It's the Your Little Castle Show. We are in studio with my new friend Nelson Wells right here, and he is the owner of Wells Roofing and Painting. And if you want to get, if you just feel like you get to know somebody a little bit, if you're going to do business with somebody, you might as well get to know them a little bit, because there's a lot of money at stake when you're doing a roof, you're painting a house, and you want to know who the people are that have done a good job that you can trust. Like we said, third generation. Decided you wanted to go ahead with this as a youth when you were little. It's kind of like you fell into it and stuck with it.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly how it was. I mean, yeah, you just fell into it and you stayed into it. Like, yeah, that's it.
That's it. And here you are. Well, it sounds like they had a good business, but there's a lot of times we hear these stories about, I'm going to give the company to my son, and the son ends up being kind of a wild man. It doesn't work out. But in this case, obviously you've done well. How long have you been actually running the company now?
That's probably full time, I'd say, when I actually fully kicked the old man out, probably, I probably was like 19 or something.
Oh, really? You took over that young?
Yeah. Well, this is a new day and age. It's kind of different. My dad's kind of old-fashioned.
Okay.
He never believed in, advertisements, really. More or less, most of it was all word of mouth.
Sure.
And so when I got a little bit older, we started pushing more, advertisements out, getting your name out there, actually make it to where people can actually see you.
Sure. Yeah, this whole interwebs thing is kind of thick. You've got a great looking website we'll share with everybody what you got going on there, but I can see you might have been used in the company we recommend. It looks like you might be. I won't say that out loud who they are, but there's a big national company that does and they have all these agencies that resell their services.
Yeah, I think you're on to something on that one.
If you're going to go to a high level, I'll give it a clue like that, then they're really good at what they do. But yeah, you've got to be on top of the technology and all that stuff. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about what's the biggest mistake you often see a homeowner make when they're. You talked a little bit about that, but finish up a little more about that before I cut you off, because we run out of time last show.
That's biggest mistake I think we touched about it before, about the biggest one I always hear is about a friend. I know a person of a friend of a friend of a
right.
son or whatever, and that's probably the biggest one. Usually every time I hear that, 9 times out of 10 there's something really messed up. They never do it right, and so that's probably the biggest one I've always come across.
Yeah, how often is it the case that you've got somebody, they're going to save you a few bucks, and then they end up doing it in a way that isn't going to last so long, and you got to come in there and fix it and tear it out and start over. It costs them a lot more to do that.
I just had one the other day actually like that. They hired some company that I guess you call them fly-by-night, or I don't know what you'd call it exactly.
Yeah, I've heard that term. Right.
But they come in there, they started a project, they got paid what they felt like that they accomplished, and lo and behold, they never come back. And then here I got to give the bad news on what they've done. It doesn't really matter. I've got to still redo it all. So I've heard that one a lot, and I've had to give that news.
Oh, brother. Well, at least they know that when you're coming in there, you're coming in there to do it right.
Yeah, I mean, you still feel bad about it. I mean, obviously it's not your fault, but what else can you say? You don't like anybody getting screwed over.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, they take advantage, and you hear these horror stories. And this doesn't happen all the time. We're not trying to freak people out. But yeah, I know somebody, she put $6,000 down, never heard from him again. Put money down.
Don't ever put money down. I tell people all the time, if a company needs a very big deposit because they can't afford to get the materials for themselves, if they're not established enough, they're not the company for you.
Right, yeah, because if you would think it's because the materials aren't $50,000.
Right.
The whole job's going to be $15,000 or $20,000.
I typically don't get no money unless you see what you're given for. So like material-wise, I usually don't get any type of deposits until the materials are at the job site or something.
Right.
Because there's too many horror stories. It happens more often than what you think.
Really?
Yeah.
And so then, that's a good policy though, because now they can see some physical merchandise.
That's
materials
right.
are on the site there, and they've gotten delivered, so we know we're getting things done because the
That's
materials
right.
are
At
here.
least it'll get rid of any of the, like he might, frig me over or something, or
Right.
maybe he's gonna take my money and leave.
Yeah.
It happens too much. I mean, not every company. It's not even a company's fault. It's usually somebody that was with the company at one time or something.
Yeah, somebody slick working for the company.
Yeah, it does happen. You got to be on the lookout. You have to be on the lookout. You got to dot all your I's.
And cross all your T's. There you go.
Uh-huh.
Tell me, there's a benefit you bring to the table too. A lot of people may not be familiar with, but that is in Illinois, you have to have a roofing and painting license, right?
Yep,
you can't,
got to
can't
have a
just,
roofing
in
license.
Missouri, not the case, but something you bring that helps people a little bit. Say, hey, you got that license because in Illinois,
That's
where you're
right.
based, 25 minutes from here, you have to have that. So that makes people feel a little more sure about it. Missouri, if you got a Missouri company, you can't be sure about
not
that.
going to happen. But no, Illinois I think they got it going on really doing it that way. Because when you got to get permits, you have to have proof of you being able to be a licensed professional. In Illinois, they got a website you can always look up from the Illinois website to look up to make sure that the license number they give you is up to date, because it is a up to date thing you have to stick with.
Okay, there you go. Another little safety guard there that makes a big difference, and they do require that. So there's a lot of people that can feel comfortable. Now, you got a lot of companies based out of Missouri, and they've been around for a long time.
Right.
But this makes it pretty secure. In Illinois, there's no getting away with it. You've been around, you have to get that license before you can even start your business, right?
Yes.
Okay, tell me a little bit. Do you like residential, commercial, a little bit of each? How much of each, and what do you like about each?
I like doing both, but most of it's all residential. I mean, we probably do 10-15% commercial, and the other majority of it is residential. Commercial is usually pretty straightforward. I mean, they're really, they got a big leak. There's, you got to do a big area. Residential is a lot more tougher, and a lot of people don't want to mess with it because it does become a headache. So we do both, but residential's mostly.
Yeah, residential is where you really get to be hands-on with the homeowner and make some pride with them, and this is their place they live and breathe. So.
Yeah, they take pride in their place, and I try and give it to them, the best I can.
Yeah, well, that's a good policy to take pride in your work, and obviously to reflect on what you do there. And that's why you've got the great reviews you've seen there, and we talked about. If you missed that first show, everybody, check it out. Lots of great information Nelson shared with us. But we went over some of his reviews, all 5 stars. Pretty good to see a company who's putting that much energy into what they're doing. What do you like about the Metro East, the St. Louis area? What part of the St. Louis? You're the whole area. How far do you go? You talked about that a little bit, but give us a little more detail.
Yeah, we cover a pretty big area. More or less, a kind of, let's say, Granite City home base is what we operate from. So we'll do like a 40 to 60 mile radius around the St. Louis area and along the river. So we cover a pretty big area. And then, what was the other question you just asked?
Just how far you go and what you like about it.
What I like about it.
You said Missouri, like O'Fallon, Missouri, and
Yeah.
and down south you said somewhere in Carbondale or not
Yeah,
quite that
yeah,
far.
we'll go Carbondale
Okay.
area and stuff too. Just depends on what time of the year we're at there, because obviously can't be there at all times, because I am only one person, and I got to be on every job. So it does interfere a little bit of when we can get to you, when we can't.
Well, it's nice to see somebody. That's rare, I guess. But you literally go to every single job. You're going to set foot on that owner's property and have a little discussion with them and make sure everybody's on the right page.
That's right, every time.
Every time, not 50% of the time, half the time, every time. Everybody. That's a dedicated business owner there, and somebody making a difference. Tell me a time when you had a client that you had to really go out of your way to help somebody. We all hear these terrible stories, but you came through for somebody and they were left out on a limb, and you helped them out.
There's quite a few different times, but most of the time, it's as any roofer will know, it's mostly leaks.
Okay.
Most of the time it's always a leak, and it's always some. You hear a lot of bad stories of where they've been through, or what if they can't afford it, they're on Social Security, they can only do so much. So you always hear those stories, and then they got leaks, and so if it's something I can help them with, or just to get them by, I'll do what I can. I'll try and seal up whatever I can seal up to try and get them by, and just in order to kind of talk with them and figure out a game plan. There's only so much you can really do, but you'll try and go out your way to try and help the ones that really need it. And granted, not everybody that has a bad story might not need it. You got to be your own judgment of character on that. But most of the older ones and the old veterans, you'll try and do a little bit more for them.
Oh yeah, that's good to hear. It's true, man. Everybody's looking to save a buck, but you want to
Right.
help those who really need it. And there's a lot that happens. I guess the storms come through here. We had these tornadoes come through not too long ago, and it's just the weather's so temperamental. One minute the house is beautiful, everything's
Yes.
great. Next minute you've got a bunch of leaks coming through, and you got to help somebody out.
That happens quite a bit. Like I just came off the road from one from a bunch of shingles missing from the high winds that we had. So it's not something uncommon for sure, but which is a shame. You know, everyone probably would love to have a break from all the hard storms we're having. Seems like every year we're having something crazy happen.
Well, that's why I said if you're a good roofer, if you're good at what you do, and especially when you can tack on the painting like you do, man, you really got it kind of covered. But there's going to be plenty of business in the St. Louis area because there's always some storms coming through to make a difference. Tear apart a little roof on a house.
Yeah, no, I mean we're blessed, but again, it is a shame that some people don't like going through it all the time, which is a shame. It gets expensive, even though you got insurance, you still got to pay your deductibles and stuff, and it goes up from there.
Yeah, that's true, and there's a lot to deal with there. What's a challenge that you've been through as a business owner that made you a little bit stronger, but something you didn't quite see coming that you had to learn a little bit from?
Being more prepared, I guess. So there's always accidents on the job, but probably let's go with materials. So I had one time to where there was the wrong materials, and we already ripped the roof off. So
no.
that was a trial thing, but we had the right crews, we had everything we needed, the right trailers, the right equipment to be able to get it handled. But if you didn't have everything, it would have been a nightmare. So that was probably that one was a very big knowledgeable thing. So making sure everything is lined up is number one.
Get your ducks in order and prepare for whatever you've got coming in. But you had a pretty quick fix. Called your
Yes.
supplier and got some new materials.
Yes,
and made
yeah,
it good.
we got it handled, but it still was one of those things you would never plan for. You know, if it could have been saved, probably, but you couldn't tell what was on the roof, and you get so many emails, different lists, and you're so busy. So anyway, things happen, things get overlooked, but it was able to get fixed. But yeah, I learned a lot from that. Was the most recent one that you learned a lot from.
Good lesson to be learned there. Tell me though, we talked about this a little bit. How often with the weather we've got here, there's a lot of people who have to deal with claims
Yeah.
and have to go back to the insurance company. Should somebody trust an expert like yourself to help them with that rather than try to take that on themselves?
Yes, I know some people tell you it just depends who you talk to, but me personally, I've went through too many claims with too many folks. If you know what you're looking at, and you know, then no brainer, you don't need nobody. But if you just can't understand of what they're allowing you, because their wording is all over the place. If you know, it's like looking at a dictionary. No, you know, you're not gonna know the meanings of what each thing means without doing some homework. So me personally, because I'm on job, I'm always meeting everybody. I will try and educate them. So if they have a problem, or if they can't understand of what exactly they're trying to say on there, because a homeowner needs to know what each line item means. Because I've also been too many times where roofers, I can't say for everybody, but storm chasers in general, they'll collect all the funds for what the insurance is paying, but not give them everything that insurance is allowing.
Oh wow!
So that's why I said homeowners need to know exactly what is every little thing means, and my job is to try and show them what that means and what it's for. If you don't know, I'll make my best efforts to make sure to get you to understand what it is. I'll take you outside and point out what it means.
Gotcha. Yeah, education here, making sure that people understand what they're spending their money on. Because how often they cut corners, get some stuff paid for, and then they don't even fix it.
They don't even know. And like I said, it's confusing. Insurance is. It's very confused for somebody that's only went through it. Like most of the time, it's only like a person that's went through it once in their lifetime, or maybe never. So things change, and you need some education. You need somebody that's trustworthy enough to tell you what it means and what it's for, because you never know. Maybe they are only paying you for half a roof, and you're thinking it's a full roof.
Oh, wow.
You need to know.
Yeah, the insurance companies divvy that up, and they're not looking for more reasons to pay.
Yeah, they're not out to be your friend, But some insurance companies are great, some are not, but it is what it is.
Get somebody that can help you through that process.
Yes.
With that, some more fun in the community, everybody. If you like supporting Guns and Hoses, our military and our fire and police In our military, we love those guys too. Check out this fun event. We do it every year. Stay tuned.
Featuring Kansas City versus St. Louis. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner. Standing 5 feet 6 inches tall and weighing in at 160 pounds. Representing Kansas City Guns and Hoses and the Platte County, Missouri Sheriff's Office. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Hannah Blacklock. And her opponent fighting tonight out of the blue corner.
I like Francis here better.
At 5 feet 7 inches tall, she weighed in at 159 pounds. And she represents St. Louis Guns and Hoses and the Belleville Police Department. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Angelina Free.
You don't want to pick a fight with these girls.
His name is Carter Rathwich, but in St. Louis, he's known as the Cardinal Cowboy. He's a well-known fixture in the stands at sporting events in the Gateway City. He's one of its greatest cheerleaders, a super fan like no other. When he makes his rounds at almost every home game, he shares his love for sports with the rest of fandom with a smile, a cheer, some positive encouragement, and lots and lots of selfies and pics. But the Cardinal Cowboy was born of a tragic incident. Rathwich was an aspiring athlete in high school and college. He dreamed of playing in the big leagues, but those dreams ended when he and 3 of his college friends were hit with a devastating crash by a 5-time drunk driver. One of his best friends died. Carter suffered a critical head injury. The trauma put him in a coma for 6 days. The doctors said he was never expected to function again. Those expectations never came true. He fought back and finished college. He was determined to prove the doctors wrong. Among other inspirations, it was his love of baseball that kept him going. And from his near-death experience, the Cardinal Cowboy emerged. His goal in life became to inspire others with positivity despite the odds, to help people believe in themselves and achieve their dreams.
So after my coma, I realized that it was up to me if I was going to accomplish my goals, if I was going to reach my dreams. Despite what the naysayers would say, the people that were discouraging me, like they do everyone, it's up to me if I'm going to make it. Don't listen to the naysayers. It's up to you. You decide whether you're going to succeed, whether you're going to reach your goals. Dream, and then always, always chase your dreams. Never give up. Giddy up. By now, we are on ABC 5 times a week. So many businesses are loving what we're doing to help them get their name out there. We'll sit right here in our guest chair, right here, sitting here talking to us. We're going to put on the wall your website and everything about you, and highlight you as a leader. Fill out the form you see here on our website. It's bigleagues.com, and if you go to bigleagues.com, fill out this form. Takes just a couple seconds, and you can even schedule yourself right here. Schedule yourself to be on the show, and there's no charge for us to record you. There's no charge to be in the studio. Check it out if you would like to be on. Fill out the form again, bigleagues.com. This is where we can turn any interview into a series of clips. Professional video on your website closes more sales by instantly building trust, clearly explaining complex products, and keeping visitors engaged longer, reducing bounce rate by 34%. It'll help you to gain that credibility, increase engagement, simplify complex tasks, lower your sales friction, and boost your rankings on the search engine. So this is all kind of a no-brainer. See how we've now had over 500 interviews and now almost 250 different business owners. Go to bigleagues.com. That's bigleagues.com. Go to bigleagues.com and get signed up. You can schedule right from there. So there you have it, everybody. And like we love what we get to do in the community. Lots of great leaders and organizations, and thanks to Paul Brown for putting together that piece. You got to have a piece out there every show. You got to play it every show that says why you do this and what you're doing and how you're helping and what you like to help people understand. You can accomplish anything. Never give up. You can if you never stop chasing your dreams. You can't help but get there. And so that's kind of what the message is here. That's why we like highlighting small business owners that are doing that. But with that, media, you kind of help Dad understand, like, Dad, I got this. But television, it's something you can still do, but websites, television is very effective if used properly. But social media, the game has changed, and you would help your dad understand. You kind of took over from there.
Yeah, I told you earlier off camera, he's very old-fashioned. Like I said, very old-fashioned, card in the hand, and just word of mouth is all he ever was interested in too. And again, he started slowly letting me do what I wanted to do. Just started getting more. Like I said, I think the first thing we did was get a website, which is probably number one for everybody. But to us, that was a big leap.
Sure.
It's like we come out the Stone Ages.
Right.
And then you start working your way up, and then Dad slowly started working his way back, and I didn't even ask him to. It just kind of he says I took it over. I just took it from him. Yeah, right. I wish he'd take it back.
Well, it looks like you guys have put something together that works out nicely. But back in the day, it was like I was saying, it was just pretty much, it was television or Yellow Pages.
Right.
And outside of that, people didn't know about it. Nowadays, television, radio, all those things, they actually work really well if strategically used. I'll explain that to some of you sometime if you want to know. But then people go to the internet to figure out more and learn more.
Yeah, you learn a lot.
And they want to see what you got on your social media, how long you've been around. And if you said website, well, man, that was one of the first things. If you don't have a website these days, everybody, that's another big issue. But we all need to get our name out with doing this technology stuff. But with that, a quick reminder, pick up our book here. Yours truly wrote the forward here. This is from Steve Kidd and my buddy Willie J. Magnetize Your Media, #1 seller on Amazon. And they did put my picture in the front of that. So Carter essentially wrote the first chapter about how he did. I'm like, I know, man. Well, that's why we had you do it, because this whole thing, magnetizing your media is something important. With that, let's talk about it. What's one of the biggest mistakes that other companies make? And I guess it's a lot of these guys, they're just trying to cut corners. They're chucking a truck. They get themselves a ladder, and now they're a roofing company or a painter.
Right.
Tell me about it.
The biggest mistake I can mostly see people make is they all want to be salesmen. They all just want to tell you what it is to sell you, but not really know what they're selling you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They're just a pretty mouth, and that's really the biggest mistake. 'Cause, I mean, what I tell you is what it is, and that's what I'm going to hold you to it. And if I can't, then I did something wrong.
Right.
And that's mostly what I mostly see is, like I said, just people just not knowing what they're saying.
They don't know what they're selling. They don't have the history. They started it up one day and they said, "Hey, I think I
That's
can
right.
make
It
some money."
sounded good in the mirror.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's just my input onto it. Again, everybody got their own opinions, but that's just what I mostly see in my line of work.
Well, that's why we wanted to give people a spotlight. You can see some of the big guys. They will spend a lot of money on everything: television, print, radio, websites, social media, SEM, SEO. You've heard all these phrases. But bottom line is, when people land on your website, what do they see? And we want to give somebody, say, hey, put this piece out there. This is a nice half-hour discussion where people get to know you and get to see an expert and get to understand who you are. And I can tell you know what you're doing.
Yeah, that's perfect. Like I said, obviously I want them to know me more than the company. As a company is good, but you want to know the face.
Right.
That's just me. Like I said, you want to know me, obviously. If you know me, then you know I'll do a good job.
Yeah. Who ultimately is going to make the decision on how they get things done and what work is put in, and to make sure that when there's a question or a problem, you got somebody to talk
And
to.
I'll be the one to handle it. So that's why I like being on site at all times. Everybody has questions, and I encourage it. You got questions, say it. It might be a dumb question. It doesn't matter.
Right.
But it's a question. I'll do my best to answer it and make you understand. Because sometimes it gets hard to get homeowners to understand certain things.
Sure, there's a lot that goes into anything, especially getting to learn a whole project. Nobody wants to
Yeah.
actually master it. They just need to make sure they're getting it done
Right.
And you're going to do it right.
That's the best way I know how.
That's what long history here. Third generation, everybody. Nelson is the owner here. Wells Roofing and Painting, big or small, we do them all.
That's correct.
Wells Roofing and Painting.com, 618-407-0757. great information for everybody. Well, tell me the process for somebody who wants to get started with you. Is it pretty simple? Go to the website, get your phone number, set up an appointment?
Yeah, very simple. Either you call me, and you'll more likely be talking with me. We'll set up an appointment over the phone and figure out what works best for you. And then, or you go the other way, you go on the website and type in your information, and we'll reach out to you. Again, we'll figure out what time works best for you, and we'll get out there and take a look at whatever project you got going on. Because you never know what you got going on until we get there.
Yeah, well, you've got a lot of great information. I'm thumbing through your website here a little bit, and you can see we got roofing, you got roof repairs, and painting, and then obviously you got contact information there. And so people can find out everything they need to know, fill out that form, and you'll quickly get back to somebody and make sure they are getting done the job correctly, whether it's roofing or painting, interior and exterior, or exterior and interior as far as painting?
Mostly we stick with exterior.
Okay. And that makes sense with all the roofing.
Well, nobody wants to be outside in the heat, and I guess we're the ones for it.
On both sides, yeah, you can do that with the roof or climbing up on a ladder painting. So
Yeah, all the stuff you don't want to do.
everything you don't want to do, they'll make sure. But the process is pretty easy there. What's the biggest question? What's the biggest objection people have when they're looking to get a job done and they say, all right, Nelson, you've got the job here, but first question I have is it always price? Is it time frame? What are people always asking you about?
It's definitely a mixture, because again, we work for a lot of different folks their priorities are a little different. Obviously, you always get one that's always wants about the price, because obviously the pricing always fluctuates, depends on material you're using, for painting and for roofing, and what you're trying to accomplish, obviously. And then the second thing is always, when can you do it? You know, because again, it just depends on the person, because they might have a function coming up and they want to look real nice, or they might have something dire need, it's leaking real bad or something. So those are the main ones. I really don't get too many other ones.
Well, that explains a lot there. It's just when you get down to it, you're going to make them feel comfortable and get the job done for them to make sure that it is done correctly. As we finish up here, ultimately, what gives you the most satisfaction? Obviously, you decided this is a family tradition. You wanted to stick with the family. What is it that gives you the most satisfaction about what you get to do here?
Probably looking at my boy, just knowing what I think and what I know him being a fourth generation would be. Just knowing you're going to have something for him when they get bigger. Kind of like, I don't know, like having an old watch or something you passing along. So it'd be nice that probably gives you a lot more satisfaction than anything.
Yeah, it's got to be neat. I mean, you just think about it. There's a little pressure there because they got the fourth generation. It's
Yeah.
Gonna go through. We know people. I know business owners who would love to pass their business on to their kids, but the kids aren't interested. And so, what do? You've worked all this year, and you could have them essentially something set up like you're talking about.
Yeah, right.
And what are they going to do? They should take this on. You think?
Well, I guess that's why I'll have more than one. So one of them's bound to take it over.
Good strategy there. Good strategy there. More than one. So if the first one doesn't, second one, maybe even the third.
Yeah, one of them's bound to take it.
1 out of 3, somebody will do it.
Yeah,
And,
we take too much pride in our stuff. So, I mean, our name's pretty, we take too much pride, and I don't see it going away, really. If it does, so be it. But I don't see it going anywhere.
Well, a well-established business and company name, tradition, and some experts here. If you're looking for somebody to help you with your roof and your painting, one or the other, or both, Wells Roofing and Painting, my buddy Nelson Wells here will make sure and take care of you. You're watching the Your Little Castle Show. Stay tuned, everybody.